What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. Once again, we're back to you with another one. This one right here, to me, is breaking news because the Miami Dolphins have a new back. And we want to talk about what happened to Howard and Breida yesterday. What went down. This is an interesting one, ladies and gentlemen, because all season it looks like we were debating who would be, like the starting running back. Would it be Howard or would it be Breida? And no one else was relevant in that conversation. No one else was relevant in that conversation. And that's not actually what went down in training camp. We got more of a revelation yesterday, and we're about to talk about that. But before you do, make sure you check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure that all the Patreon members, I appreciate your love and support, come through on post-game shows anytime for the Patreon members. But we want to go over a few things that happened yesterday when it comes to the running backs, guys. And y'all bear with me. I'm trying to pull up some information real quick so I can give you the facts. One moment. Give me a second here. All right. I'm pulling up the information so I can give y'all some detailed facts, okay? All right, so here we go, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, why do I say that we have a new lead running back? I didn't say starter because yesterday Jordan Howard started the game. And when we saw that he started the game, we automatically assumed that he was our lead back, okay? That doesn't mean he still isn't our lead back, but we have to break this down. Jordan Howard came into the game. I don't know if we realized, but Jordan Howard had 8 carries for 7 yards yesterday. He averaged 0.9 yards per carry yesterday. His longest run was for 4 yards. Can I ask y'all a question in the comment section? Maybe you can help me out. What was Kalen Ballage's average per rush last year? What was Kalen Ballage's average per rush last year? And y'all help me out with that because I don't remember. I thought he had actually broke a record. It was crazy. It was pretty pitiful. 1.2. So yesterday, Jordan Howard averaged 0.9 rushes per carry. And Kalen Ballage, I don't remember what it was. I thought it was just under 2, like 1.9 or something. But listen, this doesn't mean you need to be alarmed by Jordan Howard because Jordan Howard had a few successful runs. But at some points, he took some major tackles for a loss. And I don't want y'all to think that this is, Jordan Howard. But what I do want to show you is that the guy who came in right after him was not Matt Breida, who we thought it would be. It was Myles Gaskins. Now, Myles Gaskins averaged 4.4 yards per carry yesterday. 4.4 yards per carry on 9 carries. 9 carries, okay? Myles Gaskins got 9 carries for 40 yards, averaging 4.4 with a long of 10 yards. Now, this is a loaded subject, and why? Does that mean that Myles Gaskins has leapfrogged Jordan Howard as a starting running back? No, that is not what this means, because there were a few breakdowns for Jordan Howard with this O-line. Another big body running back, and Ballgame just said this. He said another big back that struggled behind our O-line. Anyone see a correlation? Do you see that, ladies and gentlemen? That struggles behind this O-line. I'm starting to realize that the way that our O-line is constructed and the way that they are playing, we're not a big back O-line because we're not creating holes large enough that are conducive for a big back. That's why Patrick Laird last year, Myles Gaskin last year, and Mark Walton last year had the most success. This doesn't necessarily correlate for Kalen Ballage. He was too big for this O-line. Now, we're going to continue to monitor this and see if this changes as time goes. Smaller backs seem to thrive better with our O-line and the way that our blocking scheme works. And Myles Gaskins, according to Brian Flores, said, because they asked him in the interview yesterday, Jordan Howard struggled a little bit. What made you go with Myles Gaskins instead of Matt Breida? Do you know what Brian Flores said? Because Myles Gaskins has had some really great practices. Now, that's why I commend Brian Flores. That's why I commend Brian Flores. Someone said on the last stream, they said, we paid Howard but sat him. What, were we supposed to continue to have him out there averaging less than a yard per carry? He made the right move by going with the smaller back who was practicing the best, and he garnished 4.4 yards per carry. That is a success. That is a smart coach that made the adjustment and went with what he knew would work in the circumstances and situation. You don't keep trying to plow this big old, you don't try to put my fist through this little hole. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And he made the proper adjustment by deciding to go with Myles Gaskins. Now, some people are already debating, but why would you go with Gaskins and not Breida? Because he's the head coach, and he said Myles Gaskins has been having better practices. And it showed on the field. It showed. Now, mind you, Matt Breida got 5 rushes for 22 yards. He averaged the exact same as Gaskins of 22. And I would have liked to see Matt Breida get a few more carries and see if he could use his explosiveness. But they both averaged the same amount per carry. So I think that it was a great decision by going ahead and running with Myles Gaskins. Now, Jordan Howard, does that mean that Jordan Howard is done and he's going to start taking the back seat? I fail to believe that. I feel like they're going to continue to work with Howard and seeing if they can figure out how to get him off and get him more productive carries and be better for this offense. But I like what they did later in the game. They didn't scratch Jordan Howard altogether. They said, here we are on a goal line situation. Now give me Howard. Come on in here, Howard. Because they use his strengths. They stopped trying to use him as an open field running back. And I told y'all this when I did my running backs video at the beginning of the season. I said Jordan Howard is the guy that they're going to use in the red zone, and Matt Breida is the guy they're going to use down the field. But crazy enough, it ended up being Myles Gaskins they used open in the field. And they went to what made sense, which was put Jordan Howard in the red zone. And what did he do? He punched his way in for the touchdown. He punched it in for the touchdown. So he made it happen. I actually like how we managed our running backs. But this notion of we paying Howard and he sits on the bench, shame on Flores. That was the smartest thing Flores could have done yesterday. That is the smartest thing Flores could have did for us yesterday. Because Howard, it wasn't going. But I think it will improve over time. We have to give it some time. We got to let this offensive line figure out how to create better holes for him. It's that simple. And let me go ahead and give you the snap count yesterday because that was very revealing. The snap count at the running back position. One moment, guys. I just had it up. Let me see if I can get back to it. I'm bringing it up now. Mr. Ballgame says, as the line improves, Howard will improve. You'll see more conventional sets of Howard with a lead blocker fullback. I agree. And I think even next game, they're going to try to incorporate Howard a little more. But again, we cannot overlook the fact that Myles Gaskins has actually been improving more and more and more and literally solidifying himself in this running back core. That's why he was higher than Patrick Laird on the depth chart. And I'll be honest with you, things keep going this way. I could see this kid finding himself number 2, if not number 1, at some point on the depth chart. Now, running backs. Myles Gaskins had 63% of all snaps yesterday on the offense. Matt Breida had 23%. Jordan Howard had 15%, and Patrick Laird had 6%. So technically on your depth chart, even though they won't list it this way, it's Gaskins, Breida, Howard, Laird. That's how it went down. That's how it went down. So it looks like we might have a new lead back in Miami if things continue to trend in this direction. And I want to say this to the Dolphin fans. It's nothing to be disappointed in. We have 4 talented backs, and when you think about it, it's whoever's going to perform. Now, another thing we need to understand is the simple fact that as time goes, this whole thing can change. But I'm actually rooting for Myles Gaskins to continue to hold on to this and solidify himself, because he came on late last season, and to see him take the next step this season and be commended by the coaches of playing well in practice. Think about it, guys. The reality is, based off of what Brian Flores said in his interview yesterday, Myles Gaskins has passed Matt Breida on the depth chart. That's just what it is. Myles Gaskins was the better option for Brian Flores than Breida because of how they were practicing. Myles Gaskins showed more in practice, and he decided to play him before he played Breida. They just abandoned Howard altogether after the 0.9 per carry. They stopped with Howard. So Gaskins was the premier guy. Breida was his backup, and Howard came in red zone work. That's what the game warranted, and that's what they adjusted to. Now, it can go right back to normal next week, but we got to recognize this trend and see if it continues to go in that direction. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a new lead back in Miami. But what we do need to improve on is our running game altogether. Our running game altogether. Because we need to have more all-purpose yards as a unit. But Myles Gaskins also had 66 total yards combined overall, because that's with catching the ball out of the backfield as well. So that was an interesting stat about it as well. But hey, we're gonna keep our eyes on it. But don't blame the coaching staff saying we should have played Howard more. The man averaged 0.9 yards per carry. Let's not be a hypocrite here. Look at what we did to Kalen Ballage. But it also shows you there may be something with those big backs. Kalen Ballage, somebody said Jordan Howard looked exactly like Kalen Ballage. But we weren't saying all of that before the season started. We knew who Jordan Howard was and his potential. But that means there may have been something in the way that we're schemed where it's not conducive for the big back. And maybe some of y'all realize maybe it wasn't just always Kalen Ballage. And some people are going to be like, oh, Ballage just sucks. Jordan Howard actually looking worse in his first action with Miami. Like I said, we'll keep an eye on it. This is TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. I think things will be fine for Howard long term. Excuse me. I think things will be fine for Howard long term, but we'll keep an eye on it. Shout out to Mr. Ballgame. He said they laid all the blame at Ballage's feet. But I don't hear anybody yesterday or today laying any blame at Jordan Howard's feet. But we'll see. Time will tell. I know it's just one game. And I don't think Jordan Howard deserves any blame, by the way. Let me make sure I get that clear. Just like Kalen Ballage probably didn't either. But Y'all hit that like button, man. I got a lot more coming y'all way today. I'm going to be in and out all day. We have so many different topics to talk about. We already talked about the Chan Gailey. Is he to blame? Does he share some of the blame? If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Make sure you hit the like button on it. This is the video where we're talking about the running backs. We might have a new lead back in Miami, and this isn't just smoke. It's the way things are going. And if you heard Brian Flores' interview yesterday, you could definitely understand where I'm coming at with this. We're also going to talk about Devontae Parker's concerns. We're going to talk about B-Flow's interview yesterday in another video. We're also going to talk about this O-line, man. That's the bright spot. We're going to talk about the cornerbacks, the D-line issues, the quarterback situation, Christian Wilkins, the wide receivers as a whole, how our tight ends got ghosts, and coaching adjustments, man. We got 10 more things on the docket today, so y'all stay tuned throughout the whole day. I'll be back and forth with them. I'll see y'all soon. Peace. It's TD FinStalk. Love y'all, man.